Hello, it's your boy Rahim and welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to share how you could use debt to generate wealth. This is the formula successful people use to get richer and richer. Basically, they use debt to generate income that would create wealth for them, their family, and all the people around themselves, as well as actually use debt so much that they can make so much money out of that debt, they're able to give back to charity, buy their dream homes, or do whatever they want to do. It's because they know how to use debt. In few years ago, people were talking about Richard Branson had one of the biggest debts in the world. So people ask him, how do you manage that? How do you really get to sleep at night when you know you've got about a couple of £billions of debt on you? So he just smiled about it, and then he said, I've got people paying for it, so I don't really pay for it. So again, these are the sort of things we need to learn. These are the little things we need to learn, or formulas we need to learn, so that we can actually implement it in our life to actually take our business or our entrepreneurship to the next level. So we need to spy on these people, or we need to copy or replicate what they're doing. So we either do it in the same scale as they're doing, or maybe in a smaller scale until we get to that level. So again, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you could use that to generate wealth for you and your family and all the people around you. If you like this video or any of my videos, don't forget to hit the like button below, subscribe to my YouTube channel for more of these videos. Let's get to it. Let's face it, no matter how much money you have, if you're an investor, one day would come a day where you run out of money, right? You would run out of your own money. So obviously what then happens, you need to start looking for investors to work with to actually help you execute your investment journey. So before you get to that situation, basically, now is the time to actually learn how to actually use debt to generate amazing return on your investment, and at the same time allow you to literally leverage, right? Allow you to expedite your process. If you're going 50 miles an hour, that would expedite your process to like 200 miles an hour, for example. So again, before we get going, we need to know what good debt and bad debts are before we actually carry on. So what is a bad debt? A bad debt is any loan that you take that doesn't generate you income, right? Basically, it doesn't generate you income, but you still have to pay for it. Example of a bad debt is taking on a credit card to buy maybe shirts, trainers, jeans that doesn't really add any value to you, and also it doesn't bring you income. Or taking a loan to go on holiday, for example. Again, once the holiday is finished, it's not going to bring you any income. That's a bad debt. Or taking up a loan to actually spend in your wedding. Again, that sort of investment is a bad debt. Or literally taking a credit card to buy people gifts. Again, it's a bad debt, because once you spend the money, it doesn't bring you any income anymore. Okay, so you'd have to pay for that debt consistently, and that debt doesn't bring you income. On the other hand, what is a good debt? A good debt is any loan you take out, right, that either pay for itself, or you could invest and get the returns that are higher than the interest you pay on the loan, right? Suppose you take a loan and the bank charges you 1% interest. So your objective would be basically is to invest that money where you could get a minimum of 3% interest. So what that means, basically, you'll pay the bank their 1%, and then you've got the 2% remaining, and then that 2% would be a passive income. Basically, that's how the bank operates. The bank lend money from the central bank, right? And then the central bank charges the normal retail bank like Lloyd Bank, TSB, Barclays Bank, right, at a specific interest rate, right? So what the bank then do, they then lend us, the customers, that money at slightly higher interest rate. Okay, maybe they'll charge us 1.5%, 2%, or 3%, however percent that they charge you. So they make the difference, right? So we could do exactly the same thing. So what we could do, we could then lend the money from the bank and then either invest it in a business or a property. And then what we then do, basically, we ensure whatever we're getting in return from investing that money is more than what we're actually paying on interest to the bank. Or if you're doing a repayment also, it's more than what your interest and repayment is. right? And then you make then the margin. So again, that's what good debt is. Very important for you know what it is, okay? Good debt could literally change your life and the life of the people that you live with. So what are the example of good debt? Basically, buying a buy-to-let property. Having an investment property is a good debt. Why is it a good debt? Because once you've lent that money from the bank, you will literally rent that property to a tenant, and that tenant pays you rent. Out of that rent, you pay your mortgage interest payment or your repayment mortgage, however way you've taken it, less all your expensive, and you make a bit of money out of it, right? Again, that is what good debt is, okay? That's what good debt is, because it's generating new income, and you're not paying for the debt, by the way. You've got a tenant who services the debt for you because they're paying you your rent, and then you're deducting from that, and then obviously you then pay the bank for the money they've lent you. Or it could be an investment in a business. Suppose someone approached you with a nice, amazing business adventure that is already generating income. They just need a bit of money, maybe for marketing or buying more product and services. They approached you, then you invest that money in that business, and then the return you get from that business is higher than the interest that you pay on that loan. That's also, it's a good debt. Another good debt could be paying for your education. Say you want to learn property investment. You're paying for someone to teach you or to mentor you, to coach you along the way to allow you to be able to invest in properties that would give you a better return on investment. Again, these sort of things really are good debt, because obviously you're learning about properties, you're enhancing your skill and knowledge, which you would use to actually buy more properties to expedite your process, so that you'll be able to pay that debt back. So these are the things the rich people use to actually get themselves richer and richer and richer, because they're using these debts to buy investment, and then obviously get the proceeds to pay the interest on those debts, as well as make themselves a handsome return on investment. So now I'm going to talk to you about how you could literally make money out of a debt by investing in a property. And this process would also help you quit the rat race. If you don't like what you're doing, if you don't like your job, this formula, if you implement this formula and you take this formula to the next level, basically it will transform your life and can eventually allow you to actually quit your job and do what you love to do, right? An example could be, as I said just now, by securing a buy-to-let property. Suppose we secure a buy-to-let property in South Wales. That property maybe is worth £100,000. So what we do, we would approach the bank. The bank will lend us 75% of the £100,000, and then we will put down 25% of the £100,000, which is again £25,000. So what we then do, we basically probably have a liquor paint on that property, and then what we then do, basically we then rent that property to a tenant, right? When we rent that property to a tenant, that tenant then would pay us something we call rental income, right? Once we've got the rental income, obviously we will deduct the interest payment we pay for the 75% loan the bank lenders, right? If we have any expenses like insurance, or we had any repair and maintenance, or we had anything that goes on with that property as an expense, so we will deduct that from the gross rental income, and whatever is left over is our net profit. Right now you can see then the £25,000 you've put in, right, and the £75,000 the bank lend you is allowing you basically to borrow that 75,000 that would generate you income, right? So even if you're making about 200 to 300 pounds, it's better than that debt you would have taken to go on holiday, or that debt you would have taken to buy someone a gift, or that debt you would have taken to buy yourself an expensive car that doesn't get you anywhere in terms of finance. So again, that's what you could use to generate cash flow and make money work for you instead of you working for the money. So once you've invested that, once you've invested that money, whether you work, you don't work, you still get that 250 or 300 pounds every month. That's what we call passive income. You don't have to actively involve to make that money anymore. So again, these are the formulas the rich are using. There's no magic behind it, basically. It is what it is. Okay, it is what it is, basically. That's the formula the successful people use. What is net profit? very important to your lenders or to the bank is because they want to know that if John bought this property, he's able to service all the loan and expenses and make tiny bit of money out of it, right? If you can illustrate that, if the bank can illustrate that and know that you are able to make profit in that sort of deal, they will lend you the money. But before you approach the bank, you need to know what the risk ratio is, right? For buy to let, I think it's 1.25, 125% over your rental income. If you're buying the property on the company, your rental income needs to be 125% more than what you would have paid as interest. Again, if you're buying on the individual or yourself, it needs to be over 124%. Again, these are the things you need to consider before you actually start buying your property, or before you even think about whether you would invest in properties or not. Because if you analyze the risk to benefit ratio, then you need to get a specific property, or you need to rent this property at a specific rate to be able to get that 75,000. And that 75,000, then basically the tenant pays for it. You don't pay anything for it. Because what happens basically is when the tenant pays you your rent, then you use that money to actually pay the lenders. So again, these are the formulas rich investors, property investors are using right now. I use this formula every single day to actually generate cash. You could do exactly the same thing, and there's no magic behind it. If you need help with this, let me know. I'm more than happy to help you so you can take your property investment journey to the next level, or you can really start your property investment journey by doing exactly this. And also, someone asked me, can a property have a negative cash flow? Of course it would have a negative cash flow, right? This means that basically with the interest and expenses is more than what the tenant is actually paying for the property. And again, of course, properties would make positive cash flow, because that's the whole point of actually buying properties. It is in order for it to make passive cash flow, and then it helps you quit the rat race if that's your target. Okay, so it's vitally important for you to know that. People ask me if I do buy negative equity properties. Yes, I do buy negative equity properties if it hits certain criteria. Number one, if there's a potential for me to convert that property either into HMO, into flat, or into mixed use. Because what would have happened, the current owner did not see that, did not visualize what they could do with that property, right? Secondly, if I can buy that property at discount, right? If I can buy the property at discount, right, and I can add value to that property, I would also buy that property, right? Or if I can literally develop another property next to that property, again, I will buy negative equity in that situation. So don't see properties that are in negative equity and think that, oh, maybe that deal is not for me. See what the potential is. Don't look at the figures in that case. See what you could do with it. Can you build another house next to that property? Can you extend the property at the back sideways? Can you go up by having loft conversions? These are the sort of things you could look at to see if you can add value, right? What that means basically, you would help that struggling landlord who literally thought that property is a liability to them, and then helps yourself to actually add value. And then what then happens basically, you then use the good debt strategy to lend the money to buy that house, as well as borrow that money from whoever you know to actually do the works or put the money down. Again, I'll talk about that formula just now. Suppose then we've got this property, right, and we don't even have money to buy it, right? We like the property, we know it's going to do us really, really well, we know the knowledge, we have the experience, but we don't have money to actually buy the property. So what we could do, we could literally approach friends and families to lend us the money, or to borrow the money to us. So once they've borrowed us the money, so we will then say suppose we needed £25,000. Again, I like to use £100,000 properties because obviously it's very simple to actually calculate the figures. Then we can borrow the £25,000. We get that money. It could be a gift from a family friend. It could be a loan. However way you want to raise that money, it could be however way you want to raise it. Just get that money basically. You got that £25,000 now. And then what you do, you can then approach the bank, and the bank will lend you the 75%, which is £75,000. Then you will buy that property. right? But before you buy the property, you need to do this formula. You need to know the cash flow, what the cash flow is before you buy that property, right? Suppose we bought that property, as I said just now, for say £100,000, and we put down £25,000, and then obviously the bank lends us £75,000. So what we need to do, basically, we know we borrowed that £25,000. We now need to include that £25,000 in our analysis, in our calculations. Okay, we need to put that money down. We need to literally put that money as an expense, because we need to pay our lenders or our family members who lend us that money interest. So how do you calculate the cash flow then? So what you could do basically is your cash flow is your gross rental income, right, minus the interest you pay for the £25,000, minus your mortgage interest, minus any expenses, any other expense. It could be your insurance, repair and maintenance, management fees, whatever it is, you minus it from there. Okay, then you check whether you're making profit. If you're making profit, bingo. Then you can go to an investor, say, listen, if you lend me this £25,000, I will not just able to pay you your interest, I'm also able to pay the bank. So basically it becomes a viable investment. It becomes a better investment for you and your investor as well as the bank. Right, let's go with an example. Suppose the property worth £100,000. The bank will lend us, as you know, 75%. And then we will then go to our investor, and the investor will lend us the £25,000, which we would put down to get the £75,000 to buy the property. Okay, so how do we work the cash flow? Right, suppose our rent is £650 for the property. We're renting the property out, and that property generates us £650 a month. So what we then do, we now know we're paying for the 25,000 debt we had from family and friends. We're paying £63 a month. Okay, that's what we've agreed. And listen, if you lend me the £25,000, I will pay you £63 every month for lending that money to me. So that's another expense. So we deduct that from the 650, and then the bank would have asked us to pay our interest on the 75% they've lent us, which was the £75,000. Suppose the bank charges us maybe 3%. 3% of that would have given us £190 to pay every single month, to round the figures up. So then what you do now, also you minus the 190 from the 650. Right? Suppose our insurance is £20 a month. Again, you minus the insurance from that, and then let's say management fees and any other cost, about £45. Okay, so what we then do, basically we minus that figure also from the £650. So basically it's our gross rental income £650 minus £63, our interest we pay for the £25,000, minus 190, which is our mortgage interest payment, and minus 20 our insurance, and then £45 for management fees and any other cost. So that would give us a net profit of £332 a month, right? And again, if you times that by 12, that is a whopping £3,985, right? Again, you're using other people's money to make this money, right? This is what the investors do. This is what I do personally, right? This is what other property investors are doing. This is what the Bill Gates or the Warren Buffett or the Richard Bransons are doing, right? They're using other people's money to actually generate wealth. This is what Grant Cardone is doing. If you know who Grant Cardone is, he set up a different company just specifically for this. You could do exactly the same. Maybe you're not big yet, but you can do it in the same scale or smaller scale. Okay? That's what you do basically. This is an investment. You haven't put any of your money in, right? And then you're making £332 a month, right? It's virtually infinity return on investment in this example. Imagine if you have a couple of people or 3 people who wants to work with you that way, right? That's how you create wealth. That's how you generate wealth. That's how the rich basically makes money. This is how you could use debt to be wealthy, to be rich, to be able to look after your family the way you want to look after your family, to live the life you truly desire, right? So find the people that has money that do not know what to do with it, right? Because they left it in the bank, they're making 1% interest, it's not doing them anything. So again, approach these sort of people and then see if you can work in a win-win resolution, especially now you know what it is. But I would advise you to actually educate yourself first, know what you need to do, how to do it, get a mentor, get a coach to work with, so when someone lends you their money, the money is in good hands, because you don't want to borrow someone else's money only to waste it. So you need to make sure that you know what you're doing so you can pay the bank as well as your investors. I hope you have understand what good and bad debt is and you can go and implement it. Okay, I really urge you to go and implement it. Millennials are not thinking about properties. Millennials are not thinking about long-term generational wealth. Millennials are not thinking about investing in properties. So if you are one of those who've been contemplating of investing in property because you haven't got the money, I've just shown you a simple, basic way to actually start your property investment journey. You can tap into so many people that you've never expected that they had that money. And that £25,000, by the way, doesn't need to come from one person. It could come from few people or various people. You just need that sum, basically. That's all you need. So again, these are the ways you could use debt to generate wealth, right? To be able to generate passive income for you and your family. And you don't have to actually work for anybody else. Then you've got the choice either to work or not to work. Right? You don't want to wake up every morning to go to a job because you've got no choice, right? You have to make that choice for yourself. And this is an example I've just showed you. And again, if you're interested in doing any of these, like, contact me. I'm happy to sit with you for 30 minutes to talk you through however way you want to execute it. I'll help you strategize it for you nicely to be able to use other people's money to start investing in property. If you've been thinking about investing in property, it's about time to take action now. Take action to actually invest in property. Do not wait to invest in property. Invest in properties and wait. As you know, property prices always goes up and it generates passive income whilst you sleep, whilst you're on holiday, whilst you're on the phone, whilst you're doing anything, those properties still make you money. I really hope this video has been helpful. If this video has been helpful, don't forget to hit the like button below. Subscribe to my channel for more of these amazing videos. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to sharing the next video. Thank you.